What is romance like for men? It sounds like you're doing so much already. I feel really bad for you that you're doing all this and he still doesn't feel loved or romanced. Honestly, it sounds like something deeper may be the issue, and I think you just need to talk to him about how you're feeling, or seek out marriage counseling if communication isn't going anywhere productive. How can I romance this man and get some romance back in return? This is the key part of the problem, I feel. You seem to be under the impression that there is some magical point where you can put in enough effort that it will cause him to return that effort in whatever ways you would like to see. It just doesn't work that way. If he's not showing you romance, then no amount of piling romantic effort on him will cause him to do so. There is some underlying issue that is keeping him from returning that effort, and that issue can't be overcome by you just doing more. That issue can be any number of things. Perhaps he's just not the romantic type many of us aren't. Maybe he's too focused on what he feels are more important aspects of life providing, and as long as those things remain a challenge, there's no room for romantic efforts, i.e. he's putting needs above wants. Perhaps your love languages don't match up and he thinks he's showing romance, but it's not in a way that you're tuned to pick up on. If he is emotionally unavailable as you state, I fear that no amount of romance from your side would help. I'm curious why it matters that you are bi. Sounds like you're really trying hard, which is great. For many men, romance is about feeling appreciated and emotionally connected. Try creating low-pressure moments to bond, like watching a show or playing a game together. Also, have an open conversation about what he enjoys and how you can both support each other's needs. A little reassurance goes a long way, so let him know you value his hard work, too. Regardless of gender, romance is different for everyone. Some people are asexual or aromantic or somewhere in a scale. If you're doing so much for your husband and he's not responding, you need to talk to him and perhaps consider therapy. Getting the male perspective isn't going to help you because males are not some conglomerate with a hive mind. A marital relationship has to work both ways, as in compromise. Sadly, one can't push or force the other into being someone else or thinking differently. Respect is a huge factor in a relationship, and verbal acknowledgement of that means a lot. My wife always confirmed her appreciation for the things I did, and in return it felt wonderful to me to hear that. Men need to feel wanted, needed, and respected for that. It encouraged me to reciprocate. Sounds like it's nothing you can fix, and he's not trying to distance himself from you. Sometimes the most romantic thing you can do is snuggle up close and say nothing. A lot of times men don't know how to express feelings, and they just want someone to be close to them for a couple hours. This might be too simple, but sometimes it's the simple things that get left out. Try just hugging more. Studies show that hugs reduce stress, and if your husband is always working, his probably builds up a lot of stress. I think your effort is very commendable, but maybe you should listen more to what he's saying. Maybe you can reduce effort in some of the other activities you're using show romance, and prioritize the ones he prefers, such sex. Physical touch is a love language for many, especially for men. My wife describes me as emotionally unavailable. I don't feel like I'm unavailable, I simply don't show my emotion very well. I think a lot of it has to do with my work FF paramedic. I just can't show emotion in high emotional situations. With all that said, I promise you that I notice everything she does for me, and I try and reciprocate whenever I can. Best advice I have from someone who seems to be similar to your husband is communicate your needs and ask him to reciprocate. I can tell you the things you're doing are definitely being noticed and making him feel special. I hope he can learn to make you feel that way too. To add to it, he may feel uncomfortable being romantic. I'm sometimes, especially if he doesn't share his emotions well, might make him feel vulnerable, and someone that feels like he should be the protector and provider won't like feeling vulnerable. Let him know he's safe to be that way with you. Hope this gives you some insight. So a few questions. What do you mean by he's not present when you plan a night out? And if you are a soul, why are your schedules conflicting for sex? This doesn't sound like it's you at all. This sounds like you are doing a lot in the name of his feelings, and he doesn't understand your needs. This may just be a matter of communicating your needs to him. That may also help him feel closer to you. Unless he can't communicate, then you are all screwed. Does he even want you to be more romantic? Romance is not sex. It sounds like he doesn't care much about the health of your relationship. If he is canceling your planned fun night, or doesn't seem into it, that's a bigger problem than just not being romantic enough. It sounds like you do all sorts of nice things for him. You may need to have some difficult conversations. Probably should have figured this all out before having kids, honestly. Nobody teaches men how to show affection, so you might have to explain what your needs are. My wife had to teach me how to be a good partner cause I wasn't figuring it out on my own, and apparently I didn't realize what I was doing wrong. We've grown a lot closer by having difficult conversations about our relationship. I don't think this is an issue with you as the problem. You are providing childcare, home care, and taking care of all of his needs, and basically he is expecting you to be a warm hole whenever he is in the mood. You can't fix this and get him to be more romantic. He doesn't want to, and he doesn't really have an incentive to make more effort when you're already meeting all his needs. I'd recommend counseling, as this sounds very one-sided. Just because he works and has his own business does not mean he gets to neglect you emotionally or romantically. I think this isn't a case of you not doing enough for him, but him not doing enough for you. So you are trying to live by example, and by that indirectly trying to get what you need. Unfortunately, this doesn't work. He might view the little things you do for him as either unnecessary or just a given standard, your duty as a wife. Both of these perceptions then don't make the things you do register as romance to him. You need to ignore his needs while his only need seems to be sex, which you aren't denying him, and focus on what you need, and tell him that directly. We often get into our heads, if we will just do enough, they'll reciprocate. But that clearly doesn't seem to inspire him. So you need to clearly state, okay, so you want sexual connection more to be more romantic? Well, I need romantic connection more to maybe be more sexual from you. And I feel like I'm trying to do everything right to fulfill your need, but I don't feel like I get this returned. So be upfront with him. If he is emotionally stunted, emotional gestures won't reach him. Clear words and instructions will reach him more likely. Saying, well, I need a date night once a month to feel loved. I need you checking in with me or responding to my messages over the day to feel loved, etc. Sorry, but this doesn't sound like you're the problem. There's two types of unavailability. Type 1 is simply not at home. Type 2 is at home, hears the doorbell, but refuses to open the door. He doesn't want romance. He wants a whole dot. This is so hard it's impossible to answer. But if all his time is put into the work, anything time you will remove from him is good. When having kids, you sure want to be a part of it. But if there ain't time, showing picture and video is worth so much it's worth any other time even. But maybe fill up his phone with it so he don't need to look at it when he is with you. For sex, just jump him, he might be done fast. But no man have no time for sex. The romance for someone with a full plate is helping. Real romance is for when there is time, take a vacation or something when times comes for it. I feel like your husband is a type of person, and for some reason flipping the script and turning them into a sub is something they desperately want, even though they don't know it yet. Because at the end of the day, work and everything else is taking up all his time, all his energy, and all his focus. To be able to just let go and not have to worry about anything for a few hours is so cathartic, it's practically a godsend. But when you're in that role as you've described your husband as, it's very hard to let yourself out, and society expects you to be there, so you don't know how to let go off that command and control. So you've been doing a lot of romantic things, but I would suggest you take command and control for once, and you have to do it in a way that he cannot be pulled back to work. Therefore his phone or laptop, the kids, the dog, etc. You got to make sure all of that is silenced while you do what you want to do to him for a few hours, and that is the hard part when one is a type of person, and normally the one controlling all of that. If you know he loves you beyond a shadow of a doubt, and you love him with all your heart, and y'all have sex at least one time a week, he's a great provider, loves his children, that may be all you can get right now from him. But a marriage is not a snap in time of what's going on, it's a long-term commitment. Just because things are not perfect right now doesn't mean they can't become that way as you guys get older.